So, Landmine is a really fun game that you can play with your students. And so, I was just in a class recently, and this idea kind of came from Kurt Householder, who introduced it to Kristen Ramsdale. And as you can see here, there's just this giant grid up on her whiteboard. So, there was this giant grid, and then there were students that would walk up to the giant grid once Miss Ramsdale called out their team name. So students were playing Quizlet Live, and one round they played individually, another round they played as a team. So there was a couple different ways that she played this. When they played as a team, it was also silent Quizlet, so the students could not talk. They just had to trust their teammates to find the correct answer on their screen. Once the students had the correct answer, or once they got to 4 correct answers, so this one was out of 8, once students answered 4, they got to that halfway point. What Ramsdale did is she had her students go up to this grid. And what they would do at any of the coordinates, they could pick where they wanted to put their name. So students would put their initials right on those coordinates. So like 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. Maybe they wanted to do 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 4. Students could pick whatever coordinate they wanted to pick, and they would quickly just write their initials on this game board. At the very end of the game, students, if they got to 8, the next group. So it kind of allowed every student to get a chance, because since students had to walk up to the whiteboard to write their initials up on the board, Ramsdale had an opportunity to have the students that were kind of slower processing or moving at a slower rate to also get points, because then the next area was that 8 area. And students could go up to the board and put their name. So because the other students were coming back to their seats. So it allowed different opportunities for multiple different students to get their names up on the board. And if, for example, the first group got done, they got to put their name up on the board 4 times. You could kind of decide, all right, group 2, you finish second, you're going to put your name up on the board 3 times. All right, group 1, 2 times. All right, group 7, 1 time, because of that's the order that they got to that 4 questions correct. Another way you could have done this is once the students get to a certain point, maybe there's a trap and they have to go do 20 jumpy jacks. They have to go around the pod really quickly and walk around. They have to do 10 push-ups or whatever you want to do. You could add some physical traps as well. Maybe if they didn't want to add a mark on this grid. Another thing that the students did at the very end is she kind of picked students, and she used the ticketing system. Her students earned tickets in her classroom, and she pulled out 6 different names. The 6 different students got to take these little dots, and they were called landmines. So on these landmines, let's say that a dot, and again, it's not anybody's name, it is just a dot. So let's say they put it at -2, 0. So right here is a dot. If the winning coordinate has that dot, the whole class wins candy. If it's just an initial, just that student earns candy. So at the very end, she allows 6 different students based on like her ticketing system to get called up and put that landmine, that exciting moment. If the students land on that, the whole class gets candy on that landmark. And so once they earn and do that after the game, Ramsdale called a random teacher in the school, and the random teacher gave her a coordinate. So she said, okay, the coordinates out of 5, both ways, -1, +1, 0, 0, like any of those kind of coordinates, 5 out of 5, 5, 5. And the teacher on the other end named that winning coordinate. And after that phone call, she wrote it on a Post-it note, and then she announced that winning coordinate. So again, if that was initial, that student would have won. If there was no one there, nobody would have won. And then if there was the landmine, everyone could have won candy for the class. So again, just a fun way to gamify your students' learning using this landmine idea. And again, she used Quizlet, and it was so much fun seeing the students. They wanted to keep playing because they were so engaged in their learning.